Causes of diseases here in our country today in the Philippines are related to unhealthy eating habits.
Malnutrition continues to be a growing problem here in the Philippines. In fact, the Department of Health reported that at least 30% of Filipino children under the age of 5 are stunted. That's impaired growth and development experience due to poor nutrition. Needless to say, proper nutrition is one of the best tools that you can have for a happy and healthy life. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Join us as we learn more about proper nutrition and identify healthier meals we can prepare in our everyday. Welcome to MedTalk Health Talk. The malnutrition rate among Filipino children is rising. Now here to tell us more about this with us is Jake Brandon Andal. He's a clinical dietitian and the public relations officer of the Philippine Society of Nutritionists and Dietitians. First and foremost, pag-usapan muna natin yung state of malnutrition dito bansa natin. Could you give your opinion on that?
So nakikita natin ngayon emerging both problems, no? Hindi magkakaroon ng that much improvement doon sa stunting, which is a reflection of chronic malnutrition. In Tagalog, yun po yung pagkabansot. And on the other hand, yung emerging problem natin is overweight and obesity. And nagkakaroon ng steady increase across age groups from 0 to 5 children, adolescents, and pati po doon sa school age children natin. Now, in terms of adults, very alarming rates kasi ngayon, 37% of Filipinos ang may overweight and obesity, and this has been increasing since 2003. 1 out of 4 Filipinos ngayon ang may hypertension. There has been a almost more than double increase, no, sa mga Filipinos with elevated blood sugar.
A lot of our viewers understand the word malnutrition. Kapag payat ang isang tao, pag maliit, malnourished na ito. But with your data, pwede kang malusog, pwede kang hindi payat, pero malnourished ka pa rin. Talk a little bit about that.
When you talk about malnutrition, kasi tama ka po kayo, no? Usually tinitin natin yung mga mapapayat lang at mababansot. Pero malnutrition basically, it encompasses number 1, undernutrition, number 2, overnutrition, yung sobra sa pagkain or sobra sa pagkain ng nutrients, and number 3, micronutrient deficiency, which is still a problem, no? Just to add to the data that I talked about earlier, sa Filipino adults natin, almost all nutrients are deficient sa diet. And alarming din na sa ating mga school-age children, talagang consistent na deficient tayo sa micronutrient.
Okay, now Jake, bakit kaya ganito ito? Bakit kaya sa Pilipinas tumataas pa yung rates of malnutrition natin? What are some possible causes?
Interesting din kasi nagbabago din talaga yung diet natin, and we are economic driven, yung food choices natin, and sadly, some of the most commonly consumed food items sa households ay yung mga quick and easy to prepare and the cheapest, and all of these then kasi have the lowest micronutrients, no? And not only that, they also have the highest amount of calories. So that's why I think we see both increases in terms of stunting, overnutrition, and microdeficiencies in the Philippines.
Now, does our government do anything in order to help with this curve, with this trend of increasing malnutrition para maiikot naman ito?
We have various government agencies helping, no, to curb down our rates, no, and it is also mandated by law. Recently, napasa din yung first 1,000 days law, which issues multi-sectoral collaborations between agencies to focus on health of the first 1,000 days. Ito po yung from start of conception until the 2 years of age ng bata. Meron din tayong Philippine Plan of Action on Nutrition, which focuses on food fortification and improving the state of malnutrition sa children. And patuloy yung mga programa ng DepEd, Department of Health, and National Nutrition Council on nutrition education and regulations para talaga ma-ensure natin na yung nutrition for all ay maayos.
So, ang awareness yan ng importante. Dapat yung education on the parents, especially of children, on what is deemed nutritious food for them. Now, speaking of nutritious food, let's talk about that. Ano ba yung basic nutrition na kailangan ng isang tao, ng isang bata, para aware din yung mga magulang kung anong dapat meron ang kanilang anak para hindi maging malnourished?
Siguro ang number one na kailangan natin i-emphasize talaga consumption of fruits and vegetables because according to our statistics, we have one of the lowest in consumption of fruits and vegetables in Asia. In fact, less than 2 servings a day lang ang kinakain ng isang Filipino household. No? And dito nagsisimula kasi yung pag-improve ng nutritional status natin. On the other hand, let's focus on leaner sources of protein. We are blessed because we are in an archipelago filled with lots of healthy fishes, and fish is one of the best sources of protein. No? And number 3, regulating our carbohydrate intake, no? Focusing on whole grains and minimizing added sugars in our diet. Ito naman talagang 3 pillars, no, of what a healthy diet should look like.
Now, we've been talking about malnutrition, Jake, pero let's talk about the other things that can happen aside from one being malnourished kapag hindi tama yung nutrients na kinakain ng isang tao.
I think focusing on nutrient-dense foods. Ito yung mga pagkain may matataas na micronutrients but lesser in calories such as fruits and vegetables and lean sources of protein. Talagang yun yung talagang makakatulong para mabawasan yung micronutrient deficiencies. And I think also focusing on knowing your environment, alamin ng manonood natin, ano ba yung mga top sources ng mga nutrients na pwede natin idagdag sa diet para at least alam natin how to improve our micronutrient status.
Mabigat ba sa bulsa para kumain ng masustansya?
Ito yung siguro yung misconception din kasi pag sinearch natin healthy food talagang napaka-social, no, at very foreign looking. Pero kung titingnan lang natin, like ko sinasabi sa patients natin, Doc, let's eat like how our ancestors ate, no? O kaya yung ating mga lolo at lola kung paano sila kumain. Talagang focusing our recipes on fruits and vegetables, leaner sources of protein, minimal addition of processed foods, and talagang minimizing eating outs, no, or consuming fast food. Talaga ito yung magiging a great step para mabago yung ating diet.
It's interesting na you mentioned a little bit about how social media can play a role on our ideas in food and how our mindset should be changed. And we will be talking about how a proper mindset should be when it comes to nutritious foods. But first, we talk about it time and time again how eating healthy is always good for you. But what exactly entails when someone needs to eat healthy? We'll talk more about that when MedTalk Health Talk returns. In order for us to function well and perform our everyday tasks, we have to be properly nourished. Now let's find out how we can prepare our meals in a healthier way.
I'm April Gabutina. I'm a registered nutritionist dietitian. I'm a registered nurse from VRP Medical Center. Causes of diseases here in our country today in the Philippines are related to unhealthy eating habits. One of those is cardiovascular diseases, cerebrovascular diseases, hypertensive diseases, neoplasms, and diabetes. Before eating or having your main meal, have a vegetable first or a salad before having your main meal. Eat foods that are low in sugar. We're going to cook healthy foods for people with diabetes or with hypertension. So I'll be demoing a dish that's called stir-fry mongo with squash and malunggay. We have to have a 1 teaspoon of coconut cooking oil, garlic, onions, tomatoes, ground pork, squash, cooked mongo, and malunggay, and salt and pepper to taste. So let's add the coconut cooking oil. Coconut cooking oil is more healthy than the other oils in the grocery now. Let's saute garlic. Garlic is best for to lower the blood pressure. Garlic and onions have antioxidants that can help patients or people with diabetes or hypertensive diseases. So let's sweat out the flavor from the onions and garlic. Saute it maybe 2 to 3 minutes and then set it aside. After setting it aside, let's cook the ground pork. Get the lean part. ground pork, fish, egg, beef has 0 in sugar, so it's good for individuals with diabetes. So you can cook this through for about maybe 5 to 10 minutes. It depends how well done you want. So alisin lang natin ng konti yung fat. Okay na tayo with this. Okay, now let's put in the tomatoes. So since tomatoes is high in vitamin C, it will help absorb the iron from the meat. So sinusweat out rin natin yung flavor, yung sweetness sa tomatoes. Then let's add in the squash. Okay, let's add in water to cook the squash. Just enough to cook the squash. So when you're making a dish or a meal for your loved ones, it's also good that it should be appetizing or attractive to the eyes. Make sure na colorful yung plate. That means it's high in antioxidants, high in fiber. Kasi usually yung mga matitingkad na colors comes from vegetables. Okay, now let's add the mango. Mango is high in protein, high in fiber, in B vitamins. Since it's high in fiber, it's good for individuals with hypertensive or even with cardiovascular diseases. A good source of protein. Then let's add in yung onions and garlic. If you wanted consistency, pwede natin lagyan siya ng water ulit. Now let's add the malunggay, which is high in calcium, high also in iron, high in antioxidants. Pwede for patients or individuals with diabetes. So for some, they don't put squash on their mongo or malunggay on their mongo dish. You can add foods that you like that are high in fiber to make it healthy. Then let's put in salt and pepper. So you can put peppercorn and a pinch of salt. Now we're done cooking our stir-fry mongo with squash and malunggay. There's a common connotation that dessert bawal sa mga diabetics. Now we're here to show you a dish that's called apple pie chia pudding. It's high in fiber and can be eaten by individuals with diabetes. So let's start. 2 cups of almond milk. We have here chia seeds. So you can prepare this an hour before or better overnight. Mix the chia seeds. Put it in the fridge and let it stay for an hour or overnight. Heat the pan because we're going to stir fry our apples. Let's add coconut cooking oil. Let's add in the apple. And then let's put in the brown sugar. This is to get the caramelized taste or flavor. And then let's put in the cinnamon, just a little bit of cinnamon. Then when the apple is soft, set it aside. And then when it's already cold or cool at room temperature, we can add this in our pudding mixture. Apple is great because it's high in fiber. People with diabetes can eat apple. And then if you want also to add almonds, we can also top it with a little bit of nuts, almonds, that's high in protein and omega-3. Or we can also add banana, that's high in potassium. And now, this is our power-packed meal, the stir-fry mongo with squash and malunggay, and apple pie chia pudding. For me, healthy eating is enjoying your food. You have to have a strategy also. So while enjoying your food, it should be attractive, colorful plate, And every meal, make sure that you're eating vegetable dish. Eating healthy foods can be also affordable. You just have to plan ahead of time. Like example, this one is mongo. You can just buy mongo with ground beef, and then you can just add a little of malunggay. So it's very affordable. All major nutrients are here already, are included. Just have small portions. That's the key to it. Always choose whole foods over processed foods.
Just as healthy eating can help us function at our best, eating unhealthy, on the other hand, can cause complications. More on this when we return, so keep it here on Med Talk, Health Talk. We always talk about the importance of a healthy diet. Now, here to talk about that and emphasize that even more, we have with us Jake Brandon Andal, who's a clinical dietitian and the public relations officer of the Philippine Society of Nutritionists and Dietitian. Now, continuing our conversation, Jake, gusto natin mabigay yung awareness talaga sa mga viewers on how proper nutrition is really beneficial for their health. It doesn't have to be expensive and a different mindset overall. But I'd like to ask you, Jake, is it possible for a person to feel totally fine and not realize na malnourished na pala sila? I'm pertaining to adults here, especially those who have busy schedules, fast-paced lives.
Usually kasi when you talk about malnutrition, underweight or overweight, ang binabasya natin is body mass index. So remember, if your body mass index is between 18.5 to 24.9, that's normal. However, one of the parang deficiencies of BMI is not diagnosing central adiposity, which is an emerging problem. No? So meaning, pwedeng normal yung weight mo, pero mataba ka talaga. And this is in terms of having adiposity sa chance. Reminder to the viewers that also check their waist to hip ratio, because this is also an emerging problem, especially for women in the Philippines. More than half of our Filipino women have great waist circumference, and this is one of the key factors on why we develop hypertension, diabetes, and other associated risk factors as well. And on the other hand, in terms of micronutrients, usually ang micronutrient deficiencies, wala siyang symptoms at the early stages, and yung symptoms siya nag-a-arise at the late stages. No? So, in terms of diagnosing yourself with micronutrient deficiency, the number one that you should look for is your diet. Ano ba yung sources of your food? And ano ba yung mga nutrients that they can provide? And with that, malalaman mo na if you are deficient or not. Like what I said, the latter stages of clinical deficiency of nutrients exist at the late stages already. And actually, the first stage of micronutrient deficiency is dietary inadequacy talaga.
Now, speaking of a person's diet, sugar, refined sugar at that, is pretty much in the diet of every Filipino. Nandyan yan every day. But what are some of the benefits of not just minimizing refined sugar in a person's diet, but eliminating it completely and looking for other sources of carbohydrates?
Eliminating sugar in our diet and focusing on fiber-rich carbohydrate sources like brown rice and other grains will be very helpful. Kasi number one, this will not only prevent us from acquiring diabetes or lifestyle-related diabetes type 2, but it can also regulate your hypertension, and nakaka-reduce din siya ng a lot of risk factors with diseases like cancer, and this has been proven in terms of various meta-analysis.
Okay, now there have been many studies, Jake, that say that an adult's relationship with the food, kung anong sanay nilang kainin habang adult sila, actually stems from kung paano yung relationship nila with food nung bata sila. So what can you say about this, which drives the importance of starting good eating habits while someone is young?
So, starting at complementary feeding at 6 months old, no, talagang we should incorporate consumption na talaga of fruits and vegetables para sanay na yung palate nila for these types of taste, no, yung mga gulay natin. And also, wag nating gawing punishment yung pagkain ng fruits and vegetables, and wag din nating gawing reward yung fast food. Kasi di ba, lumaki tayo, Doc Ferds, na parang, pag mataas yung grade natin, we'll go to this fast food or etc. And kapag tipid tayo or hindi ka kumakain ng gulay, papagalitan napipilitan ka. So that actually changes behavior, no? And yung link natin with food choice na nadadala hanggang adults. So again, let's incorporate fruits and vegetables like it's normal. It's an everyday part of our diet. Para hanggang adulthood, mararamdaman natin na talagang dapat kasama siya sa diet natin.
Yeah, very good advice. And we really learned a lot, especially from your advice and your expertise, Jake. But before we go, do you have any tips, any advice para sa mga viewers, lalong-lalo na yung mga ngayon lang natuklasan nila na may possibility pala na hindi masyado maganda yung diet nutrition nila?
The best advice that I can give to the viewers is it's better late than never. Kahit naman nasa anong point ka ng at your life, basta mag-start ka magbago ng diet mo, marireduce na talaga yung chance mo to get a lot of diseases like cancer, diabetes, hypertension, which is increasing in the Philippines, by the way. And also, again, focusing on what to add on our diet rather than restrictions will be very helpful. Adding fruits and vegetables, whole grains to our commonly consumed foods will already increase the consumption of micronutrients and reduce the consumption of the nutrients that we want to avoid, like sugar, trans fat, and saturated fat.
Okay, very good advice. And thank you so much, clinical dietitian Jake Brandon Andal, for joining us and sharing your expertise and sharing that awareness and changing, hopefully, that mindset of Filipinos when it comes to nutrition and food. So as a tip, it is never too late. As Jake mentioned, it is never too late to start that healthy journey, because if you not only do this for yourself, for your health, but do it for your loved ones and those around you. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and thank you for joining us here on MedTalk, Health Talk.